Hi everyone, this is Rosie and welcome to my studio where we can explore creativity together. Today I have a card for you that I've designed in Cricut Design Space. They are A2 cards, so they're 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 inches high, and I'm going to show you how to do them. So let's get started. In order to make the card, the first thing that you need to do is grab the URL. The URL will be found in the description below the video. You need the URL so that you can call up the project in Design Space. So for those of you who may not be familiar with how to grab the URL, what you'll do is you'll go over to the video, and in the description area, you'll see the URL. So you just want to highlight that with your cursor, and then you'll hit Edit, Copy. That's all you need to do. Now, this is not the video where the URL will be. This is a different video that I have up on YouTube, and I'm only doing this to demonstrate to you how to get the URL. Then once you have the URL, you'll go over to Cricut Design Space, and up here, you'll click again, and you'll hit the space key again, and then you're going to go over to Edit, and then Paste. And now you have the URL in Cricut Design Space. All you need to do is hit Return. And here's the project. And if you go over here and you click this arrow, these are all the shapes that I use to create the project within Cricut Design Space. So we can hit Make It. And the project will load up. Now, when I do my tutorials, I tend to do step-by-step for the newcomers that are here. But if you do not need all of this, then you can just go and put your URL in, click Make It, and run everything through your Cricut. And at the end of the video, I will be showing you how I put the cards together. So let me explain to you what I've done here. I've actually created 2 different cards that are very similar, and I couldn't decide which one I liked better. So I kept them both. So on this one, I have the hearts in columns. So you can see in the first column, the heart point is pointing down. In the second column, the heart point is pointing up, and they're alternating the columns, pointing up and pointing down. In this one over here, I not only alternated the columns, I alternated the rows. So you can see every heart is either pointing up or down in both the columns and the rows. And I have everything set here on one mat, so this will print on a 12 by 24 mat, and you would just put on your 2 pieces of cardstock, which I'll show you in a minute. But what I also did is I wasn't assuming that everybody has a 12 by 24 mat, and I wasn't assuming that you were going to all want to make both cards. So I've created 2 other mats for you, and if we go over here, we can click on this one. And on this mat, we have the card where the heart rows are alternating in the columns. And then we have a third mat here. And on this one, each heart is alternating on both the columns and the rows. And also on both this pink one here and on this blue one here, you can just use the 12 by 12 mat. Okay, so I am actually going to print this out on the 12 by 24 mat right now. And the next thing that we need to do is hit Continue. And it's selecting my maker up here, which is connected by Bluetooth. And it's asking me to set my material. So I am using 80-pound cardstock, medium cardstock. So I'm going to choose this option right here. And it tells me that I need to load my scoring stylus and clamp A, and then I need to have the fine point blade in. Okay, I'm about to prepare my mat, and I have the 12 by 24 mat ready for the cardstock. So I'm going to put some craft cardstock on one end. Make sure it's all nice and stuck down there. And on the other end, I am putting a piece of white cardstock. Get it all flattened out, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm going to load the scoring tool, and when you do, You're going to place it in and you're going to push it down until the arrow disappears. So you put it into the housing and hold your finger underneath when you're pushing. You don't have to push hard, and close the door. Then you're going to load in your mat, and the mat needs to be underneath these two guides right here on both sides, and make sure that it's pressing up against the black rollers on both sides. And then you're just simply going to hit your load, unload button. And when you're using your mats, especially the 12 by 24 mat, make sure that you have enough room in front of the machine and behind the machine so that the mat doesn't get caught on anything. And now we're ready to hit the go button. Screen will always tell you what it's doing. So now it's pausing and it's telling me that it wants the black tip pen in. So I'm going to remove the scoring tool and I'm putting in the black tip pen, and it's a 0.4 tip. And you'll do the same thing. You'll put it into the housing until the arrow disappears. And again, you want to make sure that you hold your finger underneath here when you're pushing down, and close the door. Then you can hit the go button again. So now it's finished writing, and it just finished detecting the blade. Okay, our cut is done. So we can press the unload button. And now I'll show you the way I like to take the cut pieces off of the mat. Now at this point, if you don't wish to print out the other two mats, just hit cancel. And it'll say, are you sure you want to cancel the cut? And then you just say yes. Now I'd like to show you how I remove the pieces from the mat. I like to flip it over like this, and then I bend the mat and it will just start to peel away. And I hold my hand down onto the cardstock and I keep it flat against the mat, and I just pull until it's off. Now, to remove these pieces, what I like to do is I like to take my plastic and put it back onto the mat. And the reason why I do this is because when I bend this now, I don't want the stickiness picking up anything off of my work surface. So if I put this here, it will actually protect my mat. So I do the same thing. I have a scraping tool. And the bigger pieces will generally come off easily. But these ones, if they're too small and they're not lifting up, then I use my scraping tool. I also don't like to touch the mat with my hands because I don't want the oils from my hands getting on the mat. So I'll kind of coax them up with the scraping tool. then I can just grab them. And I just keep doing this until all the pieces are off. The larger ones will peel off easier. And again, I do the same thing. I hold it down flat. And by holding it flat against the work surface, I have less problems with anything tearing as it's coming off of the mat. So now we can go for this one here. So we just keep doing this. Now this one here is going to be a little bit of a pain in the neck because of all of the little hearts. So all the pieces have been removed from the mats, and I have the first card here. I did this on white cardstock. Obviously you can use colored cardstock if you want, or pattern cardstock, or glitter. I mean, the options really are endless for what you can do. I like a blank canvas because I like playing with inks and things like that. Now, if you don't have the same materials that I have here, that's fine. Be creative and figure out what you would like to do with your card. This channel is all about creativity and exploring creativity together. So be creative. Use what you have and decide what you would like your card to be in the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base of the card, and we do have the score line down the middle there. And I'm just going to fold it on the score line. And I'm going to ink this entire area here. So I'm just going to put a little piece of paper underneath it to protect my mat. And I have here some Tim Holtz Distress ink. It's the mini Distress ink pads, and it is worn lipstick. So I'm going to ink up my little sponge dauber here, and I'm just going to start doing a circular motion all around to spread the ink around. It doesn't have to be even. You can have a little bit of a malted look on it if you like. So just keep doing this until it's covered the way you'd like it to be. Okay. So now my next step is I'm going to take the piece with the hearts on it, and I'm going to overlay that onto the card. And I'll adhere that down with some score tape. This is a double-sided stick tape. It's very strong. It works really well, and I use it quite a bit. You don't have to use a dry adhesive here. You can use a wet glue if you want. You can use a tape runner, whatever you like, whatever works best for you. So I'm going to apply this tape, and when I apply score tape, I put my 2 fingers through the ring, and then I have my thumb control the part that's coming off of here. And then I'm just going to go all the way to the end with it and snip it off at the end. And then I'll go around the 4 corners like that. Okay, and then I just like to put a couple of little pieces here and there in between the hearts. Not a lot. I'm really only doing this to secure it down to the front of the card before I actually pull off all the release tape. With this tape, you have to be careful because it's really sticky, and if you don't have it exactly positioned the way you want it, you can be in trouble. So I do this, these little pieces here, just to kind of help me get the card in the right place to begin with, and then I can release the paper from the corners. Okay, and now that I have the paper off, I'll take my card base and I will kind of line it up. And secure it down. And now that the center there is stable, I can take off the release tape off of the edges. And I only do one edge at a time. Okay, so I have all the edges secured down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take the piece that will be the envelope right here, and I'm going to do the same thing with the ink pad. And then I will flip it over and do just a little bit of the inside. I don't have to do all of it, just the part that will show on the card. Okay, now I am going to fold up on the score lines. Okay, and actually I need to ink a little bit more here because this is actually the top of the envelope right there. Okay, and now we're going to secure this closed with some more score tape. Now for this little piece here, the You Are Loved, I'm going to just ink around the edges of that. And this time I'm using the Distress Mini ink called Evergreen Bough. And just a little bit around the edges, just like that. Okay, now for the envelope, I'm just going to put a little bit of twine around it. So I'll start on the back like that and just wrap it around 2 or 3 times. Okay. I'll cut off the end. And then I can secure those ends down with a piece of score tape. Just to hold them in place. And on the front here, I'll kind of fan this out just a little bit. Okay, now I've gone ahead and I've added a few more pieces of score tape to the back of the envelope, and I'm going to secure this onto the front of the card. Okay, there you go. Now it's secured down to the front of the card. And with this piece, I'll put some score tape on the back of this one. And again, take off the release paper. And then I'm just going to have it kind of coming out of my envelope here. Just a little bit, just enough so that I can see the loved. So next thing, I'm going to take one of the larger hearts here. And I'm just actually using one of the Cricut gold pens. This is the gold, and the tip is 1.0. I'm just going to color it with the gold marker. Now to secure that on, I'm just going to take a few of these foam pop dots, put a couple on the back, and I'm going to put another piece of score tape over here on this side of the heart. That's also going to help secure the twine down a little better, just to hold it in place so it doesn't move around on the envelope there. And then you take the release paper off of the dots too. And place that down on your card wherever you like it. Now to finish up the card, I've just colored two more of the very small hearts, and I'm going to place those on. So we'll put one over here on the gold heart, and I will put one over here on the "You Are Loved" message. And that's it. So that's it for this one. I have one more that I'd like to share with you. So we'll get started on that one next. So the next card is the one that I cut out of the craft card stock. And it's also the one that has the inverted hearts on all the rows and all the columns. And I've already gone ahead and attached this panel to the base of the card, just the way we did with the other card. But what I want to do now is I have a white Signo pen here, and I'm going to trace the outline of all the hearts. And hopefully I'll do it neatly enough and not make a mess out of it. Just to make that kind of pop a little bit. So I'm going to go around every single heart. It's actually kind of a relaxing thing to do. Just makes those little hearts pop. And actually with this one, if I don't do it perfectly, I'm not even that concerned about it, because this is more of a rustic kind of looking card. And I think it'll look just fine. So I'll finish that up, and then I'll show you what I plan to do next. So I didn't do too badly. I did mess up a little bit here and here, but you know what? Every mistake is an opportunity. So that'll give us an opportunity to find a creative way to cover that up. So now I'm going to take the envelope, and I will fold that on all the score lines. And seal it together with some score tape. And then what I want to do is just do a little bit of, crude sort of design on here. Like maybe we'll do a little outline, like a line and a few dots, and then another line and a few more dots. And we'll just go around. Again, I'm not worried about making anything look perfect here. I want it to be a little rustic looking. So to finish up this card, I wrapped some red twine around the envelope the same way I did on the other card. I just did a little crude line and dots around the "You Are Loved." And then I took some of the white hearts from the other card and I just colored them with a red alcohol marker. So I placed a larger one here, a smaller one here. Now the two places where I messed up, there was one here and one here. The envelope covered the one over here, and the one that's over here, I just put a little red heart on it. And all of these hearts have been put down with the foam pop-ups. And then I just put 3 little hearts there. So it's the same basic card, but a very different look. So it just goes to show that there are many, many options and many ways to design it. And one more thing, all those little hearts that were cut out from those panels, here they are. Imagine having a little dinner party and spreading those around the table. Wouldn't that look nice? Thanks again for watching.